Hadith 1. Narrated Abu Hurairah, while the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, was saying something in a gathering, a Bedouin came and asked him, when would the hour, doomsday, take place? Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, continued his talk, so some people said that Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, had heard the question, but did not like what that Bedouin had asked. Some of them said that Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, had not heard it. When the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, finished his speech, he said, "Where is the questioner, who inquired about the hour, doomsday?" The Bedouin said, "I am here, O Allah's Apostle." Then the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, "When honesty is lost, then wait for the hour, doomsday." The Bedouin said, "How will that be lost?" The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, "When the power or authority comes in the hands of unfit persons, then wait for the hour, doomsday." Hadith 2. Narrated Abdullah bin Amr, once the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, remained behind us in a journey. He joined us while we were performing ablution for the prayer which was overdue. We were just passing wet hands over our feet, and not washing them properly, so the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, addressed us in a loud voice and said twice or thrice, "Save your heels from the fire." Hadith 3. Narrated Ibn Umar, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, said, "Amongst the trees, there is a tree, the leaves of which do not fall and is like a Muslim. Tell me the name of that tree." Everybody started thinking about the trees of the desert areas. And I thought of the date palm tree but felt shy to answer. The others then asked, "What is that tree, O Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him?" He replied, "It is the date palm tree." Hadith 4. Narrated Ibn Umar, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, "Amongst the trees, there is a tree, the leaves of which do not fall and is like a Muslim. Tell me the name of that tree." Everybody started thinking about the trees of the desert areas. And I thought of the date palm tree. The others then asked, "Please inform us what is that tree, O Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him?" He replied, "It is the date palm tree." Hadith 5. Narrated Anas bin Malik, while we were sitting with the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, in the mosque, a man came riding on a camel. He made his camel kneel down in the mosque, tied its foreleg and then said, "Who amongst you is Muhammad?" At that time the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, was sitting amongst us, his companions, leaning on his arm. We replied, "This white man reclining on his arm." The man then addressed him, "O son of Abdul Muttalib." The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, "I am here to answer your questions." The man said to the Prophet, "I want to ask you something and will be hard in questioning. So do not get angry." The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, "Ask whatever you want." The man said, "I ask you by your Lord, and the Lord of those who were before you, has Allah sent you as an apostle to all the mankind?" The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, replied, "By Allah, yes." The man further said, "I ask you by Allah. Has Allah ordered you to offer 5 prayers in a day and night, 24 hours? He replied, "By Allah, yes." The man further said, "I ask you by Allah. Has Allah ordered you to observe fasts during this month of the year, that is, Ramadan?" He replied, "By Allah, yes." The man further said, "I ask you by Allah. Has Allah ordered you to take zakat, obligatory charity, from our rich people and distribute it amongst our poor people?" The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, replied, "By Allah, yes." Thereupon that man said, "I have believed in all that with which you have been sent, and I have been sent by my people as a messenger, and I am Damam bin Thalaba from the brothers of Bani Sa'd bin Bakr." Hadith 6. Narrated Abdullah bin Abbas, once Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, gave a letter to a person and ordered him to go and deliver it to the governor of Bahrain. He did so, and the governor of Bahrain sent it to Chusros, who read that letter and then tore it to pieces. The sub-narrator, Ibn Shihab, thinks that Ibn al-Musayyab said that Allah's messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, invoked Allah against them, saying, "May Allah tear them into pieces, and disperse them all totally." Hadith 7. Narrated Anas bin Malik, once the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, wrote a letter or had an idea of writing a letter. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, was told that they, rulers, would not read letters unless they were sealed. So the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, got a silver ring made with Muhammad Allah's messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, engraved on it. As if I were just observing its white glitter in the hand of the Prophet. Hadith 8. Narrated Abu Waqid al-Laythi, while Allah's messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, was sitting in the mosque with some people, 3 men came. 2 of them came in front of Allah's messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, and the third one went away. The 2 persons kept on standing before Allah's messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, for a while, and then one of them found a place in the circle and sat there, while the other sat behind the gathering, and the third one went away. When Allah's messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, finished his preaching, he said, "Shall I tell you about these 3 persons?" One of them betook himself to Allah, so Allah took him into His grace and mercy and accommodated him. The second felt shy from Allah, so Allah sheltered him in His mercy, and did not punish him, while the third turned his face from Allah and went away, so Allah turned his face from him likewise. Hadith 9. Narrated Abdur Rahman bin Abi Bakr's father, once the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, was riding his camel and a man was holding its rein. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, asked, "What is the day today?" We kept quiet, thinking that he might give that day another name. He said, "Isn't it the day of Nahr, slaughtering of the animals of sacrifice?" We replied, "Yes." He further asked, "Which month is this?" We again kept quiet, thinking that he might give it another name. Then he said, "Isn't it the month of Dhul-Hijjah?" We replied, "Yes." He said, "Verily, your blood, property and honor are sacred to one another, that is, Muslims, like the sanctity of this day of yours, in this month of yours and in this city of yours. It is incumbent upon those who are present to inform those who are absent, because those who are absent might comprehend what I have said better than the present audience." Hadith 10. Narrated Ibn Mas'ud, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, used to take care of us in preaching by selecting a suitable time, so that we might not get bored. He abstained from pestering us with sermons and knowledge all the time. Hadith 11. Narrated Anas bin Malik, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, "Facilitate things to people, concerning religious matters, and do not make it hard for them, and give them good tidings and do not make them run away from Islam." Hadith 12. Narrated Abu Wa'il, Abdullah used to give a religious talk to the people on every Thursday. Once a man said, "O Aba Abdur Rahman, by Allah, I wish if you could preach us daily." He replied, "The only thing which prevents me from doing so, is that I hate to bore you, and no doubt I take care of you in preaching by selecting a suitable time just as the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, used to do with us, for fear of making us bored." Hadith 13. Narrated Muawiyah, I heard Allah's messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, saying, "If Allah wants to do good to a person, He makes him comprehend the religion. I am just a distributor, but the grant is from Allah. And remember that this nation, true Muslims, will keep on following Allah's teaching strictly and they will not be harmed by anyone going on a different path till Allah's order, Day of Judgment, is established." Hadith 14. Narrated Ibn Umar, we were with the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, and fresh dates of a palm tree were brought to him. On that he said, "Amongst the trees, there is a tree which resembles a Muslim. I wanted to say that it was the date palm tree, but as I was the youngest of all of them, I kept quiet. And then the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, it is the date palm tree. Hadith 15. Narrated Abdullah bin Mas'ud, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, do not wish to be like anyone except in two cases. The first is, a person, whom Allah has given wealth and he spends it righteously. The second is, the one whom Allah has given wisdom, the Holy Quran, and he acts according to it and teaches it to others. Hadith 16. Narrated Ibn Abbas, that he differed with Hur bin Qais bin Hisn al-Fazari regarding the companion of, the Prophet, Moses. Ibn Abbas said that he was al-Qadr. Meanwhile, Ubay bin Ka'b passed by them and Ibn Abbas called him, saying, my friend, Hur, and I have differed regarding Moses's companion, whom Moses asked the way to meet. Have you heard the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, mentioning something about him? He said, yes. I heard Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, saying, while Moses was sitting in the company of some Israelites, a man came and asked him, do you know anyone who is more learned than you? Moses replied, no. So Allah sent the divine inspiration to Moses, yes, our slave Qadr, is more learned than you. Moses asked Allah how to meet him, Qadr. So Allah made the fish as a sign for him and he was told that when the fish was lost, he should return, to the place where he had lost it, and there he would meet him, al-Qadr. So Moses went on looking for the sign of the fish in the sea. The servant boy of Moses said to him, do you remember when we betook ourselves to the rock? I indeed forgot the fish, none but Satan made me forget to remember it. On that Moses said, that is what we have been seeking, Surah 18, Ayah 64. So they went back retracing their footsteps, and found Qadr. And, what happened further to them is narrated in the Holy Quran by Allah. Surah 18, Ayat 54-82. Hadith 17. Narrated Ibn Abbas, once the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, embraced me and said, O Allah! Bestow on him the knowledge of the book, Quran. Hadith 18. Narrated Ibn Abbas, once I came riding a she-ass and had, just, attained the age of puberty. Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, was offering the prayer at Mina. There was no wall in front of him and I passed in front of some of the row while they were offering their prayers. There I let the she-ass loose to graze and entered the row, and nobody objected to it. Hadith 19. Narrated Mahmud bin Rabi'ah, when I was a boy of 5, I remember, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, took water from a bucket, used for getting water out of a well, with his mouth and threw it on my face. Hadith 20. Narrated Ibn Abbas, that he differed with Hur bin Qais bin Hisn al-Fazari regarding the companion of the Prophet Moses, peace and blessings be upon him. Meanwhile, Ubay bin Ka'b passed by them and Ibn Abbas called him saying, my friend, Hur, and I have differed regarding Moses's companion whom Moses asked the way to meet. Have you heard Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, mentioning something about him? Ubay bin Ka'b said, yes, I heard the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, mentioning something about him, saying, while Moses was sitting in the company of some Israelites, a man came and asked him, do you know anyone who is more learned than you? Moses replied, no. So Allah sent the divine inspiration to Moses, yes, our slave Qadr is more learned than you. Moses asked Allah how to meet him, al-Qadr. So Allah made the fish a sign for him and he was told when the fish was lost, he should return, to the place where he had lost it, and there he would meet him, al-Qadr. So Moses went on looking for the sign of the fish in the sea. The servant boy of Moses said, do you remember when we betook ourselves to the rock? I indeed forgot the fish, none but Satan made me forget to remember it. On that Moses said, that is what we have been seeking. So they went back retracing their footsteps, and found Qadr. And, what happened further about them is narrated in the Holy Quran by Allah. Surah 18, Ayat 54-82. Hadith 21. Narrated Abu Musa, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, "The example of guidance and knowledge with which Allah has sent me is like abundant rain falling on the earth, some of which was fertile soil that absorbed rain water and brought forth vegetation and grass in abundance. And another portion of it was hard and held the rain water, and Allah benefited the people with it, and they utilized it for drinking, making their animals drink from it, and for irrigation of the land for cultivation. And a portion of it was barren, which could neither hold the water nor bring forth vegetation, then that land gave no benefits." The first is the example of the person who comprehends Allah's religion and gets benefit from the knowledge which Allah has revealed through me, the prophets, and learns and then teaches others. The last example is that of a person who does not care for it and does not take Allah's guidance revealed through me, he is like that barren land. Hadith 22. Narrated on us, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, said, "From among the portents of the hour are the following. 1. Religious knowledge will be taken away by the death of religious learned men. 2. Religious ignorance will prevail. 3. Drinking of alcoholic drinks will be very common. 4. There will be prevalence of open illegal sexual intercourse." Hadith 23. Narrated on us, I will narrate to you a hadith and none other than I will tell you about after it. I heard Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, saying, "From among the portents of the hour are the following. 1. Religious knowledge will decrease by the death of religious learned men. 2. Religious ignorance will prevail. 3. There will be prevalence of open illegal sexual intercourse. 4. Women will increase in number and men will decrease in number, so much so that 50 women will be looked after by one man." Hadith 24. Narrated Ibn Umar, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, said, "While I was sleeping, I saw that a cup full of milk was brought to me, and I drank my fill till I noticed the milk, its wetness coming out of my nails. Then I gave the remaining milk to Umar ibn al-Khattab. The companions of the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, asked, 'What have you interpreted about this dream, O Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him?' He replied, 'It is religious knowledge.'" Hadith 25. Narrated Abdullah bin Amr bin Alas, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, stopped for a while near the Jamar at Mina during his last Hajj for the people, and they were asking him questions. A man came and said, "I forgot and got my head shaved before slaughtering the hadi, sacrificing animal." The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, "There is no harm, go and do the slaughtering now." Then another person came and said, "I forgot and slaughtered the camel before Rumi, throwing of the pebbles at the Jamrah." The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, "Do the Rumi now and there is no harm." The narrator added, "So on that day, when the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, was asked about anything, as regards the ceremonies of Hajj, performed before or after its due time, his reply was, 'Do it now, and there is no harm.'" Hadith 26. Narrated Ibn Abbas, somebody said to the Prophet, during his last Hajj, "I did the slaughtering before doing the Rumi." The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, beckoned with his hand and said, "There is no harm in that." Then another person said, "I got my head shaved before offering the sacrifice." The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, beckoned with his hand saying, "There is no harm in that." Hadith 27. Narrated Abu Hurairah, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, "Religious knowledge will be taken away by the death of religious scholars, ignorance in religion, and afflictions will appear, and Hajj will increase." It was asked, "What is Hajj, O Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him?" He replied by beckoning with his hand indicating killing. Hadith 28. Narrated Asma, I came to Aisha while she was praying, and said to her, "What has happened to the people?" She pointed out towards the sky. I looked towards the mosque, and saw the people offering the prayer. Aisha said, "Subhanallah." I said to her, "Is there a sign?" She nodded with her head, meaning, yes. I, too, then stood for the prayer of eclipse, till I became, nearly, unconscious, and later on I poured water on my head. After the prayer, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, praised and glorified Allah and then said, "Just now at this place I have seen what I have never seen before, including paradise and hell. No doubt, it has been inspired to me that you will be put to trials in your graves, and these trials will be like the trials of Masih ad-Dajjal, or nearly like it." The sub-narrator is not sure which expression Asma used. You will be asked, what do you know about this man, the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him? Then the faithful believer, or Asma said a similar word, will reply, he is Muhammad, Allah's messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, who had come to us with clear evidences and guidance, and so we accepted his teachings and followed him. And he is Muhammad. And he will repeat it thrice. Then the angels will say to him, "Sleep in peace, as we have come to know that you were a faithful believer." On the other hand, a hypocrite or a doubtful person will reply, "I do not know, but I heard the people saying something, and so I said it, the same." Hadith 29. Narrated Abu Jamrah, I was an interpreter between the people and Ibn Abbas. Once Ibn Abbas said that a delegation of the tribe of Abdul Qais came to the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, who asked them, "Who are the people, that is, you? Or, who are the delegates?" They replied, "We are from the tribe of Rabi'ah." Then the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said to them, "Welcome, O people," or said, "O delegation, of Abdul Qais. Neither will you have disgrace nor will you regret." They said, "We have come to you from a distant place, and there is the tribe of the infidels of Mudar intervening between you and us, and we cannot come to you except in the sacred month. So please order us to do something good, religious deeds, and that we may also inform our people whom we have left behind, at home, and that we may enter paradise, by acting on them." The Prophet ordered them to do 4 things, and forbade them from 4 things. He ordered them to believe in Allah alone, the Honorable, the Majestic, and said to them, "Do you know what is meant by believing in Allah alone?" They replied, "Allah and His Apostle know better." Thereupon the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, "That means to testify that none has the right to be worshipped but Allah, and that Muhammad is His Apostle, to offer prayers perfectly, to pay zakat, to observe fasts during the month of Ramadan, and to pay al-Khumus, 1/5 of the booty to be given in Allah's cause." Then he forbade them 4 things, namely ad-dubba, huntam, muzaffat, and an-nakir or mukayyar. These were the names of pots in which alcoholic drinks used to be prepared. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, further said, "Memorize them, these instructions, and tell them to the people whom you have left behind." Hadith 30. Narrated Abdullah bin Abi Mulaika, Uqbah bin al-Harith said that he had married the daughter of Abi Ihab bin Aziz. Later on a woman came to him and said, "I have suckled, nursed, Uqbah and the woman whom he married, his wife, at my breast." Uqbah said to her, "Neither I knew that you have suckled, nursed, me nor did you tell me." Then he rode over to see Allah's messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, at Medina, and asked him about it. Allah's messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, said, "How can you keep her as a wife when it has been said, that she is your foster sister?" Then Uqbah divorced her, and she married another man. Hadith 31. Narrated Umar, my Ansari neighbor from Bani Umayyah bin Zayd, who used to live at Awali al-Madinah, and I used to visit the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, by turns. He used to go one day, and I another day. When I went, I used to bring the news of that day regarding the divine inspiration and other things, and when he went, he used to do the same for me. Once my Ansari friend, in his turn, on returning from the Prophet, knocked violently at my door and asked if I was there. I became horrified and came out to him. He said, "Today a great thing has happened." I then went to Hafsa and saw her weeping. I asked her, "Did Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, divorce you all?" She replied, "I do not know." Then, I entered upon the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, and said while standing, "Have you divorced your wives?" The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, replied in the negative. On that I said, "Allahu Akbar, Allah is greater." Hadith 32. Narrated Abu Masud al-Ansari, once a man said to Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, "O Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him. I may not attend the compulsory congregational prayer because so and so, the Imam, prolongs the prayer when he leads us for it." The narrator added, "I never saw the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, more furious in giving advice than he was on that day." The Prophet said, "O people! Some of you make others dislike good deeds, the prayers. So whoever leads the people in prayer should shorten it, because among them there are the sick, the weak and the needy, having some jobs to do." Hadith 33. Narrated Zayd bin Khalid al-Juhani, a man asked the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, about the picking up of a lukata, fallen lost thing. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, replied, "Recognize and remember its tying material and its container, and make public announcement about it, for 1 year, then utilize it but give it to its owner if he comes." Then the person asked about the lost camel. On that, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, got angry and his cheeks or his face became red and he said, "You have no concern with it as it has its water container, and its feet and it will reach water, and eat the leaves of trees till its owner finds it." The man then asked about the lost sheep. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, replied, "It is either for you, for your brother, another person, or for the wolf." Hadith 34. Narrated Abu Musa, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, was asked about things which he did not like, but when the questioners insisted, the Prophet got angry. He then said to the people, "Ask me anything you like." A man asked, "Who is my father?" The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, replied, "Your father is Hudafa." Then another man got up and said, "Who is my father, O Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him?" He replied, "Your father is Salim, Mawla, the freed slave, of Shayba." So when Umar saw that, the anger, on the face of the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, he said, "O Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him. We repent to Allah, our offending you." Hadith 35. Narrated Anas bin Malik, one day Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, came out, before the people, and Abdullah bin Hudafa stood up and asked him, "Who is my father?" The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, replied, "Your father is Hudafa." The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, told them repeatedly, in anger, to ask him anything they liked. Umar knelt down before the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, and said thrice, "We accept Allah as our Lord, and Islam as our religion and Muhammad as our Prophet." After that the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, became silent. Hadith 36. Narrated Anas, whenever the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, asked permission to enter, he knocked the door thrice with greeting, and whenever he spoke a sentence, said a thing, he used to repeat it thrice. Hadith 37. Narrated Anas, whenever the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, spoke a sentence, said a thing, he used to repeat it thrice so that the people could understand it properly from him, and whenever he asked permission to enter, he knocked the door thrice with greeting. Hadith 38. Narrated Abdullah bin Amr, once Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, remained behind us in a journey. He joined us while we were performing ablution for the Asr prayer which was overdue. We were just passing wet hands over our feet, not washing them properly, so the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, addressed us in a loud voice and said twice or thrice, "Save your heels from the fire." Hadith 39. Narrated Abu Burda's father, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, said, 3 persons will have a double reward. 1. A person from the people of the scriptures who believed in his prophet, Jesus or Moses, and then believed in the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, that is, has embraced Islam. 2. A slave who discharges his duties to Allah and his master. 3. A master of a woman slave who teaches her good manners and educates her in the best possible way, the religion, and manumits her and then marries her. Hadith 40. Narrated Ibn Abbas, once Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, came out while Bilal was accompanying him. He went towards the women thinking that they had not heard him, that is, his sermon. So he preached them and ordered them to pay alms. Hearing that, the women started giving alms, some donated their earrings, some gave their rings, and Bilal was collecting them in the corner of his garment. Hadith 41. Narrated Abu Hurairah, I said, O Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him. Who will be the luckiest person, who will gain your intercession on the day of resurrection? Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, said, O Abu Hurairah, I have thought that none will ask me about it before you, as I know your longing for the learning of hadiths. The luckiest person who will have my intercession on the day of resurrection will be the one who said sincerely from the bottom of his heart, none has the right to be worshipped but Allah. Hadith 42. Narrated Abdullah bin Amr bin Alas, I heard Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, saying, Allah does not take away the knowledge by taking it away from the hearts of the people, but takes it away by the death of the religious learned men, till when none of the religious learned men remains, people will take as their leaders ignorant persons who, when consulted, will give their verdict without knowledge. So they will go astray and will lead the people astray. Hadith 43. Narrated Abu Sa'id al-Khudri, some women requested the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, to fix a day for them as the men were taking all his time. On that he promised them one day for religious lessons and commandments. Once during such a lesson the Prophet said, a woman whose 3 children die will be shielded by them from the hell fire. On that a woman asked, if only 2 die? He replied, even 2 will shield her from the hell fire. Hadith 44. Narrated Abu Sa'id al-Khudri, as above, the sub-narrators are different. Abu Hurairah qualified the 3 children referred to in the above-mentioned hadith as not having reached the age of committing sins, that is, age of puberty. Hadith 45. Narrated Ibn Abu Mulaika, whenever Aisha, the wife of the Prophet, heard anything which she did not understand, she used to ask again till she understood it completely. Aisha said, once the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, whoever will be called to account about his deeds on the day of resurrection, will surely be punished. I said, doesn't Allah say, he surely will receive an easy reckoning? Surah 84, Ayah 8. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, replied, this means only the presentation of the accounts, but whoever will be argued about his account, will certainly be ruined. Hadith 46. Narrated Sa'id, Abu Shuraih said, when Amr bin Sa'id was sending the troops to Makkah, to fight Abdullah bin Az-Zubayr, I said to him, O chief, allow me to tell you what the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said on the day following the conquests of Makkah. My ears heard and my heart comprehended, and I saw him with my own eyes, when he said it. He glorified and praised Allah and then said, Allah and not the people has made Makkah a sanctuary. So anybody who has belief in Allah and the last day, that is, a Muslim, should neither shed blood in it nor cut down its trees. If anybody argues that fighting is allowed in Makkah as Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, did fight in Makkah, tell him that Allah gave permission to his apostle, but he did not give it to you. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, added, Allah allowed me only for a few hours on that day of the conquest, and today, now, its sanctity is the same, valid, as it was before. So it is incumbent upon those who are present to convey it, this information, to those who are absent. Abu Shuraih was asked, what did Umar reply? He said, Umar said, O Abu Shuraih, I know better than you, in this respect. Makkah does not give protection to one who disobeys Allah, or runs after committing murder, or theft, and takes refuge in Makkah. Hadith 47. Narrated Abu Bakr, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, no doubt your blood, property. The sub-narrator Muhammad thought that Abu Bakr had also mentioned, and your honor, chastity, are sacred to one another as is the sanctity of this day of yours and this month of yours. It is incumbent on those who are present to inform those who are absent. Muhammad the sub-narrator used to say, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, told the truth. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, repeated twice, no doubt. Haven't I conveyed Allah's message to you? Hadith 48. Narrated Ali, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, do not tell a lie against me, for whoever tells a lie against me, intentionally, then he will surely enter the hellfire. Hadith 49. Narrated Abdullah bin Az-Zubayr, I said to my father, I do not hear from you any narration, hadith, of Allah's apostle as I hear, his narration, from so and so? Az-Zubayr replied, I was always with him, the Prophet, and I heard him saying, whoever tells a lie against me, intentionally, then, surely, let him occupy his seat in hellfire. Hadith 50. Narrated Anas, the fact which stops me from narrating a great number of hadiths to you is that the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, whoever tells a lie against me intentionally, then, surely, let him occupy his seat in hellfire. Hadith 51. Narrated Salama, I heard the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, saying, whoever, intentionally, ascribes to me what I have not said then, surely, let him occupy his seat in hellfire. Hadith 52. Narrated Abu Hurairah, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, name yourselves with my name, use my name, but do not name yourselves with my kunya name, that is, Abul Qasim. And whoever sees me in a dream then surely he has seen me, for Satan cannot impersonate me. And whoever tells a lie against me, intentionally, then, surely, let him occupy his seat in hellfire. Hadith 53. Narrated Ash-Shu'abi, Abu Juhayfa said, I asked Ali, have you got any book, which has been revealed to the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, apart from the Quran? Ali replied, no, except Allah's book or the power of understanding which has been bestowed, by Allah, upon a Muslim, or what is written in this sheet of paper with me. Abu Juhayfa said, I asked, what is written in this sheet of paper? Ali replied, it deals with the diyah, compensation, blood money, paid by the killer to the relatives of the victim, the ransom for the releasing of the captives from the hands of the enemies, and the law that no Muslim should be killed in qisas, equality in punishment, for the killing of a disbeliever. Hadith 54. Narrated Abu Hurairah, in the year of the conquest of Makkah, the tribe of Khuzah killed a man from the tribe of Bani Layth in revenge for a killed person belonging to them. They informed the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, about it. So he rode his rahila, she-camel for riding, and addressed the people saying, Allah held back the killing from Makkah. The sub-narrator is in doubt whether the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said elephant or killing, as the Arabic words standing for these words have great similarity in shape, but he, Allah, let his apostle and the believers overpower the infidels of Makkah. Beware! Makkah is a sanctuary. Verily, fighting in Makkah was not permitted for anyone before me, nor will it be permitted for anyone after me. War in it was made legal for me for few hours or so on that day. No doubt it is at this moment a sanctuary, it is not allowed to uproot its thorny shrubs or to uproot its trees or to pick up its lukat, fallen things, except by a person who will look for its owner, announce it publicly. And if somebody is killed, then his closest relative has the right to choose one of the two, the blood money, diya, or retaliation, having the killer killed. In the meantime a man from Yemen came and said, O Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him. Get that written for me. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, ordered his companions to write that for him. Then a man from Quraysh said, Accept ulidkir, a type of grass that has good smell, O Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, as we use it in our houses and graves. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, Accept ulidkir, that is, ulidkir is allowed to be plucked. Hadith 55. Narrated Abu Hurairah, there is none among the companions of the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, who has narrated more hadiths than I, except Abdullah bin Amr, bin Alas, who used to write them and I never did the same. Hadith 56. Narrated Ubaydullah bin Abdullah, Ibn Abbas said, when the ailment of the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, became worse, he said, Bring for me, writing, paper and I will write for you a statement after which you will not go astray. But Umar said, The Prophet is seriously ill, and we have got Allah's book with us and that is sufficient for us. But the companions of the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, differed about this and there was a hue and cry. On that the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said to them, Go away, and leave me alone. It is not right that you should quarrel in front of me. Ibn Abbas came out saying, It was most unfortunate, a great disaster, that Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, was prevented from writing that statement for them because of their disagreement and noise. Note, it is apparent from this hadith that Ibn Abbas had witnessed the event and came out saying this statement. The truth is not so, for Ibn Abbas used to say this statement on narrating the hadith and he had not witnessed the event personally. Hadith 57. Narrated Salama, one night Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, got up and said, Subhanallah. How many afflictions have been descended tonight and how many treasures have been disclosed. Go and wake the sleeping lady occupants of these dwellings, his wives, up for prayers. A well-dressed soul, in this world may be naked in the hereafter. Hadith 58. Narrated Abdullah bin Umar, once the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, led us in the Isha prayer during the last days of his life and after finishing it, the prayer, with taslim, he said, Do you realize the importance of this night? Nobody present on the surface of the earth tonight will be living after the completion of 100 years from this night. Hadith 59. Narrated Ibn Abbas, I stayed overnight in the house of my aunt Maymuna bint al-Harith, the wife of the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, while the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, was there with her during her night turn. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, offered the Isha prayer, in the mosque, returned home and after having prayed 4 rakat, he slept. Later on he got up at night and then asked whether the boy, or he used a similar word, had slept. Then he got up for the prayer and I stood up by his left side, but he made me stand to his right and offered 5 rakat followed by 2 more rakat. Then he slept and I heard him snoring, and then, after a while, he left for the Fajr prayer. Hadith 60. Narrated Abu Hurairah, people say that I have narrated many hadiths, the Prophet's narration. Had it not been for 2 verses in the Quran, I would not have narrated a single hadith, and the verses are, Verily those who conceal the clear sign and the guidance which we have sent down. Up to, Most Merciful. Surah 2, Ayat 159 to 160. And no doubt our Muhajir, emigrant, brothers used to be busy in the market with their business, bargains, and our Ansari brothers used to be busy with their property, agriculture. But I, Abu Hurairah, used to stick to Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, contented with what will fill my stomach, and I used to attend that which they used not to attend, and I used to memorize that which they used not to memorize. Hadith 61. Narrated Abu Hurairah, I said to Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, I hear many narrations, hadiths, from you but I forget them. Allah's Apostle said, spread your rida, garment. I did accordingly, and then he moved his hands as if filling them with something, and emptied them in my rida, and then said, take and wrap this sheet over your body. I did it, and after that I never forgot anything. Narrated Ibrahim bin al-Mundir, Ibn Abi Fudayk narrated the same as above, but added that the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, had moved his hands as if filling them with something and then he emptied them in the rida of Abu Hurairah. Hadith 62. Narrated Abu Hurairah, I have memorized 2 kinds of knowledge from Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him. I have propagated one of them to you, and if I propagated the second, then my pharynx, throat, would be cut, that is, killed. Hadith 63. Narrated Jarir, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said to me during Hajjat al-Wada, let the people keep quiet and listen. Then he said, addressing the people, do not become infidels, revert to disbelief after me by striking the necks, cutting the throats, of one another, killing each other. Hadith 64. Narrated Sa'id bin Jubayr, I said to Ibn Abbas, Nauf al-Bakali claims that Moses, the companion of Qadr, was not the Moses of Bani Israel but he was another Moses. Ibn Abbas remarked that the enemy of Allah, Nauf, was a liar. Narrated Ubay bin Ka'ab, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, once the Prophet Moses, peace and blessings be upon him, stood up and addressed Bani Israel. He was asked, who is the most learned man amongst the people? He said, I am the most learned. Allah admonished Moses as he did not attribute absolute knowledge to him, Allah. So Allah inspired to him, at the junction of the 2 seas there is a slave amongst my slaves who is more learned than you. Moses said, O my Lord! How can I meet him? Allah said, take a fish in a large basket, and proceed, and you will find him at the place where you will lose the fish. So Moses set out along with his servant boy, Yusha bin Nun, and carried a fish in a large basket till they reached a rock, where they laid their heads, that is, lay down, and slept. The fish came out of the basket and it took its way into the sea as in a tunnel. So it was an amazing thing for both Moses and his servant boy. They proceeded for the rest of that night and the following day. When the day broke, Moses said to his servant boy, bring us our early meal. No doubt, we have suffered much fatigue in this journey. Moses did not get tired till he passed the place about which he was told. There the servant boy told Moses, do you remember when we betook ourselves to the rock, I indeed forgot the fish. Moses remarked, that is what we have been seeking. So they went back retracing their footsteps, till they reached the rock. There they saw a man covered with a garment, or covering himself with his own garment. Moses greeted him. Al-Qadr replied saying, how do people greet each other in your land? Moses said, I am Moses. He asked, the Moses of Bani Israel? Moses replied in the affirmative and added, may I follow you, so that you teach me of that knowledge which you have been taught. Al-Qadr replied, verily. You will not be able to remain patient with me, O Moses. I have some of the knowledge of Allah which He has taught me and which you do not know, while you have some knowledge which Allah has taught you which I do not know. Moses said, Allah willing, you will find me patient and I will disobey no order of yours. So both of them set out walking along the seashore, as they did not have a boat. In the meantime a boat passed by them and they requested the crew of the boat to take them on board. The crew recognized Al-Qadr and took them on board without fare. Then a sparrow came and stood on the edge of the boat and dipped its beak once or twice in the sea. Al-Qadr said, O Moses! My knowledge and your knowledge have not decreased Allah's knowledge except as much as this sparrow has decreased the water of the sea with its beak. Al-Qadr went to one of the planks of the boat and plucked it out. Moses said, "These people gave us a free lift, but you have broken their boat and scuttled it so as to drown its people." Al-Qadr replied, "Didn't I tell you that you will not be able to remain patient with me?" Moses said, "Call me not to account for what I forgot." The first excuse of Moses was that he had forgotten. Then they proceeded further, and found a boy playing with other boys. Al-Qadr took hold of the boy's head from the top and plucked it out with his hands, that is, killed him. Moses said, "Have you killed an innocent soul who has killed none?" Al-Qadr replied, "Did I not tell you that you cannot remain patient with me?" Then they both proceeded, till when they came to the people of a town, they asked them for food, but they refused to entertain them. Then they found there a wall on the point of collapsing. Al-Qadr repaired it with his own hands. Moses said, "If you had wished, surely you could have taken wages for it." Al-Qadr replied, "This is the parting between you and me." The Prophet added, "May Allah be merciful to Moses. Would that he could have been more patient to learn more about his story with Al-Qadr." Hadith 65. Narrated Abu Musa, a man came to the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, and asked, "O Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him. What kind of fighting is in Allah's cause?" I ask this, for some of us fight because of being enraged and angry, and some for the sake of his pride and haughtiness. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, raised his head, as the questioner was standing, and said, "He who fights so that Allah's word, Islam, should be superior, then he fights in Allah's cause." Hadith 66. Narrated Abdullah bin Ammar, I saw the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, near the Jumrah, and the people were asking him questions about religious problems. A man asked, "O Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him. I have slaughtered the hadi, animal, before doing the rummy." The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, replied, "Do the rummy, now, and there is no harm." Another person asked, "O Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him. I got my head shaved before slaughtering the animal." The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, replied, "Do the slaughtering, now, and there is no harm." So on that day, when the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, was asked about anything as regards the ceremonies of Hajj performed before or after its due time, his reply was, "Do it, now, and there is no harm." Hadith 67. Narrated Abdullah, while I was going with the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, through the ruins of Medina, and he was reclining on a date palm leaf stalk, some Jews passed by. Some of them said to the others, "Ask him, the Prophet, about the Spirit." Some of them said that they should not ask him that question as he might give a reply which would displease them. But some of them insisted on asking, and so one of them stood up and asked, "O Abul Qasim, what is the Spirit?" The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, remained quiet. I thought he was being inspired divinely. So I stayed till that state of the Prophet, while being inspired, was over. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, then said, "And they ask you, O Muhammad, concerning the Spirit, say, the Spirit, its knowledge is with my Lord. And of knowledge you, mankind, have been given only a little." Hadith 68. Narrated Aswad, Ibn az-Zubayr said to me, "Aisha used to tell you secretly a number of things. What did she tell you about the Kaaba?" I replied, "She told me that once the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, 'O Aisha, had not your people been still close to the pre-Islamic period of ignorance, infidelity, I would have dismantled the Kaaba and would have made 2 doors in it, one for entrance and the other for exit.'" Later on Ibn az-Zubayr did the same. Hadith 69. Narrated Abu at-Tufail, the above-mentioned statement of Ali. Hadith 70. Narrated Anas bin Malik, once Mu'ad was along with Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, as a companion rider. Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, said, O Mu'adh bin Jabal. Mu'adh replied, Labbaik and Sa'adaik, O Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him. Again the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, O Mu'adh. Mu'adh said thrice, Labbaik and Sa'adaik, O Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him. Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, said, There is none who testifies sincerely that none has the right to be worshipped but Allah and Muhammad is his apostle, except that Allah will save him from the hellfire. Mu'adh said, O Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him. Should I not inform the people about it so that they may have glad tidings? He replied, When the people hear about it, they will solely depend on it. Then Mu'adh narrated the above-mentioned hadith just before his death, being afraid of committing sin, by not telling the knowledge. Hadith 71. Narrated on us, I was informed that the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, had said to Mu'adh, Whosoever will meet Allah without associating anything in worship with him will go to paradise. Mu'adh asked the Prophet, Should I not inform the people of this good news? The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, replied, No, I am afraid, lest they should depend upon it, absolutely. Hadith 72. Narrated Salama, Sulaym came to Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, and said, Verily, Allah is not shy of telling you the truth. Is it necessary for a woman to take a bath after she has a wet dream, nocturnal sexual discharge? The Prophet replied, Yes, if she notices a discharge. Salama then covered her face and asked, O Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him. Does a woman get a discharge? He replied, Yes, let your right hand be in dust, an Arabic expression you say to a person when you contradict his statement meaning, you will not achieve goodness, and that is why the son resembles his mother. Hadith 73. Narrated Abdullah bin Umar, once Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, said, Amongst the trees there is a tree, the leaves of which do not fall and is like a Muslim, tell me the name of that tree. Everybody started thinking about the trees of the desert areas, and I thought of the date palm tree but felt shy to answer. The others asked, O Allah's Apostle, inform us of it. He replied, It is the date palm tree. I told my father what had come to my mind, and on that he said, Had you said it, I would have preferred it to such and such a thing that I might possess. Hadith 74. Narrated Ali, I used to get the emotional urethral discharge frequently, so I requested Al-Miqdad to ask the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, about it. Al-Miqdad asked him and he replied, One has to perform ablution after it. Hadith 75. Narrated Nafi'a, Abdullah bin Umar said, A man got up in the mosque and said, O Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, at which place you order us that we should assume the ihram? Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, replied, The residents of Medina should assure the ihram from Dhul Hulayfa, the people of Syria from Al-Jufa and the people of Najd from Karn. Ibn Umar further said, The people consider that Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, had also said, The residents of Yemen should assume ihram from Yalamlam. Ibn Umar used to say, I do not remember whether Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, had said the last statement or not. Hadith 76. Narrated Ibn Umar, a man asked the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, what kinds of clothes should a muhrim, a Muslim intending to perform Umrah or Hajj, wear? He replied, he should not wear a shirt, a turban, trousers, a head cloak or garment scented with saffron or worse kinds of perfumes. And if he has no slippers, then he can use kufs, socks made from thick fabric or leather, but the socks should be cut short so as to make the ankles bare.